Today's class, we will dive into the exciting world of impact play. Impact play is a type of BDSM play that involves striking the body of a partner for pleasure, both sides of pleasure. It can be a thrilling and intimate experience for both the top and bottom. Now, note moving forward, if I say top or bottom, that could also mean dominant, submissive. I know they're separate roles, but for this case, top and bottom were going to be used because we're not going to assume anyone's power exchange here. But it's important to approach it with care and caution. This class is perfect for beginners who are interested in exploring impact play, but have little to no experience. We will start by discussing various types of impact implements available, including floggers, paddles, whips, canes, and more. And we will explore different sensations each supplement or implement produces and how to choose the right one for you and your partner's preferences. Yeah. And then we'll cover safety. We'll cover safety considerations for impact play, a little bit on safe words and boundaries and communication. But yeah, so overall, this class is designed to provide a comprehensive introduction, but also it's a bit more surface level than I would like, even though it's about 4,300 words. So we may give a follow-up class after this. So yeah, the classroom rules and expectations. So today we'll be showing various examples of impact play with the toys that you can see around over there. Our workshop will be handling these items and possibly being hit with them. If you consent and are up for it, we will be running our global stoplight system for safe words, which is, let's see everyone do green and the emoji. Does everyone remember that? Yes, go. Go is the emoji or thumbs up. Yellow, which means check in. That means slow or stop. We need to talk about something. It does not mean that the whole scene stops. It means check in with me. We need to figure something out. And then red is the all important, something needs to stop, emergency. And the circle cross is the emoji. So yeah, for this event, if someone says stop, you stop immediately. CNC is not prevented in this classroom during the event for safety reasons. If you have phantom pain or sense, please communicate it prior to the workshop and remind the top or bottom that you're working with when you're experimenting. Because phantom pain is something you very much have to worry about when you're in VR chat. Because when you're doing IRL stuff, it matters a lot. But in VR, a lot of people can't feel it, right? So it's just about like the power exchange that comes through impact play. But a lot of people have phantom sense, so you have to be very careful. So don't go up to someone and just start spanking them. One, that's non-consensual, and two, they might actually be able to feel it. Also, if you at any time feel unsafe or feel like your consent is being violated, hit respawn or disconnect immediately and ping me or one of our event staff, which is Minnie, Frost, or Squidge. We will attend to you. Today, we will be impact play, which is a type of BDSM activity that involves consensually striking one person by another. The term impact refers to the physical contact between the two individuals, typically with hands or specialized BDSM toys such as whips, floggers, paddles, crops. The purpose of impact play can range from sensual to erotic stimulation to pain, and it often includes an element of power exchange and dominant submission dynamics. So what can be expected from impact play? Impact play can bring about a variety of headspaces for both tops and bottoms, depending on their individual preferences and the intensity of the impact. Here are some common headspaces associated with impact play. So you have your endorphin rush. Your head gets all funny and feels cool. Impact play can reduce these endorphins, which are natural painkillers produced by the body, and can produce a euphoric feeling. Subspace. This is a state of mind that some bottoms can reach during intense impact play or other forms of play. It is often described as a state of deep relaxation, detachment, and submission. If you go loopy and non-responsive, you're probably in sub. And we have a way for you to communicate that a little bit later. The Dom/Dame headspace. For tops, impact play can be a way to tap into their dominant or sadistic side and exercise control over their bottom. A masochistic headspace. Some bottoms enjoy the impact play because they enjoy the sensation of pain and can enter into a masochistic headspace where they crave more intense impact. Now, during that time, it is the top's responsibility to make sure that they don't go too far. Both fear and anxiety. Impact play can be intense and scary, especially for beginners. Some bottoms may experience fear or anxiety during impact play, which can be managed through communication and aftercare. That being said, if you feel uncomfortable during something that's happening or you're afraid of something, don't be afraid to use your safe word. Say yellow. Say, hey, let's slow down, please. In addition to physical sensations and headspaces, impact play can elicit emotional and psychological responses. The intense physical stimulation and release of endorphins can lead to feelings of euphoria, relaxation, and even a sense of emotional catharsis. Some submissives or bottoms can let go of the things that they are blaming themselves for during impact play because they figure that they are now punished and doing well by that. Impact play can also provide an opportunity for deeper emotional connection and trust building between partners, as well as a chance to explore power dynamics that push boundaries in a safe and consensual way. So, when you're dealing with pushing power, pushing limits and boundaries, make sure that you have a solid foundation based on power exchange. That would be rack. If you're doing safe and consensual, SSC, like we discussed last week, that means that you shouldn't be pushing boundaries without heavy consideration ahead of time and heavy negotiation ahead of time. Take those soft limits and save them for when you know someone better, right? Don't do those right away, because if you're doing that right away, you may scare the person, it may traumatize them, and never surprise someone with impact play. Never be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna spank you randomly in the middle of a scene," if you haven't talked with them about it first, please. Let's go over examples of different tools that are used in impact play. And the floggers they're like a crop. They're like a handle with all of these falls coming off of it, right? There are these things that allow you to spin it like this and allow you to hit with the falls. Now, again, we're going to be going over how to do different things in a little bit, but especially with floggers, I wish I had an example here. I didn't want to have to transfer one versus the other. Blurpy, can you come up here real quick? Perfect example. I was going to ask if someone had a flogger on their Abby. Perfect. So yeah, this is a flogger. So you can see the falls on the actual flogger here and separate. It's because they're all separate entities of the thing. So when you're hitting somebody with this is traditionally a very thuddy implement, but that's only when, can you hold it out for me? Thank you. When you're hitting with the middle part of these falls, right? If you're hitting with the middle part of the falls, it's more of a thuddy massage type of experience. If you're hitting people with the ends of these things, they're going faster than the actual base of it. So the faster you go, you got to remember that the things on the top are going to go even faster based on momentum. So these are stingy. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. They're multi-tailed whips that can be made of various materials such as leather, suede, or rubber. I personally have one that's leather and suede, or two of them. Actually, I have quite a few floggers. They come in different sizes, lengths, and weights, and provide range of sensations from a gentle caress to a stinging impact. It's a very thuddy experience, as I mentioned, which can be akin to a massage if you use the middle of the falls, which we just showed. Paddles. So can someone go and grab me a paddle? I don't want to move because I got cameras on me. Sorry. Thank you, squidgies. Okay. This is a smallish paddle. Thank you. This is a smallish paddle with little hearts on it. So paddles are traditionally little flat, sturdy objects made of materials like wood, leather, or silicone. If you look at the example in Discord, it's made of wood. I have a couple ones that are made of wood. I recently bought one that is a gun blade. It's not an actual gun blade, but it's made of wood. It's shaped like a gun blade with an actual trigger on it, or not a trigger, but a circle where the trigger should be. Pretty fun. You can spin it. And it can range from size, shape, and thickness. It can deliver a sharp, thuddy impact. That being said, the big ones will do sharp, heavy impact. The smaller ones are going faster, as we mentioned. They're going to sting. So you're going to hear a couple different words here. Like all of these toys can fall into two categories: thuddy or stingy. And of course, there's other categories, but those are the main ones. I know a lot of people that are like, yes to thuddy, no to stingy. And that's why you use different implements for different things. Not everybody has the same preferences. And as we'll go over in a little bit, you don't have to just use one toy the entire time. You can use multiple toys. So you use the toy for any specific part of the situation that it calls for. For example, if you're going to warm somebody up, which we'll go over, you use something like light, like a soft flogger maybe. Don't go right for the heavy ass paddle that you're just going to go, what? Just, no, you know, it's a different type of tool for the different type of sensation that you're going for. And don't worry, bottoms, we got you too. We have some tips on how to take some of this stuff. So I'm not leaving anyone out on this one. Yeah, go ahead, Squish. Thank you. Canes. Is there a cane over there? I think there is. So canes are long, thin rods made of material like bamboo, rattan, or plastic. Okay. That's okay. So canes are long, thin rods made of material like bamboo, rattan. I had a bundle cane. It was a bundle lathe basically, but it was a bundle cane made of bamboo, and it got stolen. A lot of my impact play toys got stolen out of my car, but I need to find another one, but it was thuddy and stingy at the same time. Beautiful, like more thuddy because there's more items to soften that impact and to make it more thuddy. But canes are traditionally stingy as hell, all right? So, again, it's the same thing with the flogger. If you're hitting with the end, it's gonna do a lot more damage because it's going faster. And with a whip, if you're hitting with the middle of it, it's still gonna sting, but it's not gonna be going as fast, and it's a little bit more thuddy and a little bit more controlled. So when you're hitting with a cane, and we'll go over the form in a little bit, you don't wanna just use your hand, right? If you're using just your hand, it's hard to control, so you use your entire body to control your movement, right? So you're like this, and we'll go over proper form in a bit, but this is more of just an overview of what we're about to experience. Whips. I know someone in this class is very happy with whips. Whips are single-tailed implements made of materials like leather, rubber, or braided nylon. They can be used in a range of sensations from a gentle little flick to a sharp stinging impact. It's important to note that whips are very dangerous implements that we could go into a very detailed class on this topic at a later date. In fact, I know, as I mentioned, someone in the audience has a lot of experience in them or with these things who could be a good resource about them. I recommend, if you aren't familiar with whips, to avoid this subject entirely for now, but they're very fun to use and very loud if you're using an actual bull, which is used mainly for fear play and just like the power that it generates. Admittedly, I don't have a lot of experience with whips, so any future class will be a general overview, and or we may bring in someone to actually give a thorough class on. Riding crops. Switchers. Oh, this is a long one. Thank you. So your traditional riding crop here, this is a long one. Usually you see them like about this long, but this is a pretty decent size one. Again, this is different than whips because even though this is going faster, the soft end right here will actually prevent the impact from being too horrendous. So that's why when you're using this, you usually stick with this impact. Although you can use it as a cane as well if you go in the center here. Just be careful because these things are actually made just to whip with the end. So, yeah, any toy can be used basically in any different way that you like, but there are proper form. Again, when you're using it, your whole body, just like that, like so. Riding crops are short, stiff paddles like that with soft leather or rubber tips. They're used for impact play on the buttocks or thighs and can deliver a sharp, stinging impact. So next is slappers, which I don't think are over there. There's an example of those in the Discord server. Slappers are leather or rubber paddles that are split at the tip that create a loud, sharp sound on impact. It's very good for sound and fear play. You can be like, crack, crack. It's like when you take your belt and you put it in a loop all the way around, and then you pull the ends, and then you push it forward, and you get that little bulge in the middle, and then you pull it flat, and it goes snap. That's sort of the sound it makes. Squid, you like that? Also, there's other paddles that are just layered and different types of slappers. In this, I actually found some slappers that look like belts, so they're actually kind of cool. I'm looking at that, I'm like, I want one, which I might actually buy one after this class is over. They provide a range of sensations from a gentle tap to a stinging impact. Those things are again, it depends on how you use it. If you're using it more towards the middle because of physics, you're going to get a little bit more of a thuddy impact, but it's mainly for sting. Belts. Belts can be made of leather, fabric, or rubber and can provide a thuddy impact that covers a large area and or stingy. Belts are fun. Belts for a lot of primals are like, we use a lot of what we have on us. So like our hands, which are coming up, or belts, it's like we have it available at the moment, so we're just going to use it. Or I could use a belt to tie someone's hands and then use mine. Right? So hands, the dominant's hands can be used for impact play. And that includes slapping, spanking, or punching. Now, when I'm talking about punching, there's a couple different aspects here. Punching as in like this, be careful. Use it on very meaty areas like the buttocks and, the thighs. Avoid the bones. We'll go over where to avoid in a second. But avoid bones. Always aim for meaty parts. But whenever I'm doing a punch, I always make sure to go a little bit softer because I don't want to hurt the person. I don't want to harm the person. Excuse me. I'm a sadist. I love hurting people. Harming them? No, we don't want to harm. Harm is permanent or long-term damage. We try to avoid that, or we do avoid that. And then again, at the beginning of every relationship I have, I promise I will not harm you intentionally. Accidents happen. That's why we have first aid kits. But you don't want to go full bore on somebody, especially when they're not ready for it. So what I do is I'll actually wrap my hand like a soft fist, and then I'll use it as a slap. So it makes a loud sound like crack. Like, I don't know if it'll actually come through. I don't know if it came through, but you use your knuckles on the fronts it barely came through? Okay, and the knuckles on the fronts, and you can use it to make an impact and actually be sort of like a punch. But yeah, full on hold on, full on punch like this, I avoid that. I usually use a punch like I'm swinging a paddle. Does anyone have any other examples of tools that they could use? I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there, especially pervertibles, things around the house you can use. You can just pick up and say, "Oh, I can use this." Go ahead, Edra.
A book.
Yes. A book is very thuddy. I actually like that idea. Jag is bound.
Somebody.
Throw a book at somebody. Okay, you got to be careful. I know it's a joke, but you got to be careful when you're throwing stuff, especially a book, because that spine can do some damage. Blurpy?
The flat of a sword.
The flat side of a sword.
Edged sword, but, you know.
Yeah, the flat side of a sword.
Mhm.
100% agree. The flat side of a sword. If you have experience, or if it's a dull sword, or if you have experience with a sword, you can use a dull sword as a slap. Stingy, mostly, unless it's a big broadsword, and then it's thuddy.
It's closer, it hits closer to the handle. They call
Yeah,
it
if you hit closer to the
climactic.
handle, it's more thuddy. Lightsaber, that's funny.
I mean, I have used the lightsaber on someone in that scene.
So I don't know if the audio's coming through. That's why I'm repeating answers. So just FYI. Squid, you had one? No? Okay. Anyone else?
Said it out loud.
Okay, cool. Oh, Frost, yes. Sorry, Jag's hiding your hand.
About wooden spoon and hairbrush it.
Yes.
can-
Wooden.
Set up the hairbrush to be putty and the front part to be like where the brushes are. It's super stinky.
Yeah, and the cool thing about impact play toys is that you don't have to use them to swing like this. I actually have a picture where I used a flogger on somebody, and I dragged it across their skin, and it leaves a nice abrasion. So, like, it looks like I took, like a heavy thing and just, like, raked it across their body, and so it made an awesome picture because it's just red, you know? So and they loved it because I was using the backside of my flogger handles. So you can use, like, yeah, you can use that, or you can use, again, everything we're revolving around slapping today, but you can use it for, like, sensation as well, as Jag was saying. A hairbrush, you can use the front side of the hairbrush to do sensitive stuff. So yeah. Did we get everybody? Awesome. So impact play effects on various parts of the body. Impact play can have different effects on different various parts of the body, depending on the intensity and type of impact. Here are some examples. The buttocks, the booty. Impact play on the booty is especially popular, particularly with spanking and paddling, and can cause redness, warmth, and stinging sensations. If the impact is harder, it may leave bruising, welts, or marks. A favored place of impact play traditionally, because of its safety, because it's all meat, and the power exchange significance of spanking someone on their ass. It's traditionally a good punishment or punishment place to do your power exchange. Thighs, right here. Impact play on the thighs, on the back thighs, and the thighs in the front can produce similar sensation to the buttocks, with redness, warmth, and stinging. However, the skin on the thighs may be more sensitive and less accustomed to the impact play, so it may take less intensity to create marks or bruises. Remember, different parts of the body can take different forms of punishment. So if you're hitting them with the same intensity, you're probably going to cause a yelp and possibly a yellow. So make sure that you're taking a little bit off when you're going to different parts of the body. In the actual channel and or the description of the video, you'll see a picture of a beginner's guide to spanking safe zones, and we'll go over safe zones in a little bit. But have that up for what we're about to say. And I'll show them on my body too, in case you don't want to. The back. Impact play on the back with flogging, especially for flogging and caning, can cause more intense sensation. The back has a larger surface area than the buttocks or thighs, and the sensation can be more diverse. Additionally, the spine and rib cage provides some protection, so it may take some more intensity to create marks and bruises. That being said, don't hit the spine. Don't hit the spine at all. I don't know why that was there. My research, I should have found that and said, no, do not hit the spine. The rib cage it is true. It provides protection for your spinal cord, but do not touch it. We're going to go over a list of things not to touch, okay? The spine is a no-no. And since we're talking about the back, the kidneys. Stay away from the lower back, okay? The kidneys, if you damage them, they can cause actual damage, peeing blood, and real problems. So stay away. Let's see. Breast. Impact play on the breast can create a range of sensations from mild to intense. Care must be taken to avoid hitting the nipples directly. That is super sensitive area. If you pinch your nipples, it's going to hurt. So it can cause injury as well. Some people enjoy the sensation of pressure or squeezing rather than actual impact. So when you're doing different play sessions, you can do the massaging technique. I'm actually doing this, the massaging technique instead, and actually squeeze instead of just slap, slap, slap. Although a quick slap, if someone's okay with it, is good for power exchange as well. It could also be used for degradation and humiliation. And the nipples are, you can put like barbells on there or different sort of clamps in order to increase the sensation. So it is important to remember that everyone's body is different and may react differently to impact play. I know somebody who had a condition where if you just hit them with a 1 style on the pain scale slap, it was a 10 to them. You don't know until you actually try. And so during the tips section, we'll go over pain scales and how to use them. So places to avoid. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a situation with some contention, but as this is meant for 101 and beginners, it's made to have you avoid places that can cause high damage, okay? So the face and the head. Striking the face or the head can cause some serious damage to the eyes, ears, and brain. Never go for the head. Nothing to actually hit any part of the head. For slapping, if you know what you're doing, a little light slapping is okay, but to start, just avoid it. The neck can cause whiplash or even worse, spinal cord injury. Do not hit the neck in the front or the back because you have a lot of stuff here that's required for you to breathe. You don't want to mess up breathing. Joints. Avoid striking joints such as the elbows or knees and ankles, as these can cause serious damage to the bones and ligaments. For bones, if it's meat, it's neat. If it's a bone, let it alone, is what I kind of came up with. I also think Blurpy has something similar in our private discussions. Bones should be avoided for impact because you could do damage to the structure of the bone and cause fractures or breaks. As I mentioned, kidneys. Striking the kidneys can cause internal bleeding and kidney damage. Tailbone, when you're hitting the booty, make sure you're avoiding both the spinal cord and the tailbone, as it can be easily injured and hit. The lower back, striking the lower back can cause kidney damage, spinal cord injury, or even paralysis. Again, these are all scary things, but this is why you need to be careful. This is why it's BDSM. This is why we give safety and consent classes, because it's inherently dangerous. It's fun, but it's inherently dangerous. You wouldn't jump out of an airplane without a parachute. So genitals, unless negotiated and consensual, avoid striking the genitals as it can cause permanent damage. This is a high risk, high skill area. So unless you know what you're doing, avoid it altogether. Now, CBT, cockball torture, various other types of things, using it as a form of humiliation, degradation, stepping, all of that stuff. Yes, but wait until you're a little further along before you get into that. This is by no means a definitive guide, but it can help start to understand areas of the body and where you can hit. There's a lot of gray, which means no, don't hit the head, don't hit the, the stomach and stuff. Don't just punch someone in the stomach. That can be negotiated, of course, but again, when you're starting. The areas behind joints, like behind the knees, behind the elbows right here, these are ligaments and have very important areas that you're going to want to avoid. Super sensitive. So like when I'm doing knife play, for example, if I'm going down the arm, I actually release the tension when I go over that and I just let it sort of brush across. I don't put any pressure on these areas because I know that these are very sensitive and very damaging if you put too much pressure on them. So same thing with a wrist. Wrist is less so, but try to avoid ligaments. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about where to hit and why not? Okay. It's important to know that stuff because, again, we don't want to do permanent harm to people. You want to have fun with this. You don't want to hurt people long term. And obviously avoid the spinal. Okay, so safety and negotiation. We covered a lot of this last week in our previous BDSM 101 class, but here's a quick refresher. Physical safety includes taking measures to prevent physical injuries, such as using safe words, checking for your equipment and tools for wear and tear, and establishing clear boundaries and limitations. For example, a dominant may need to learn how to properly use a flogger or whip to avoid causing physical harm to the submissive. Emotional and psychological safety involves creating a space where both parties can feel secure and trust each other. Communication is critical in creating this type of safety. The submissive may need to feel safe enough to express their desires, limits, and concerns, while the dominant needs to ensure that their actions do not cause harm to the submissive's overall emotional or psychological well-being. BDSM negotiation, on the other hand, is the process for discussing discussing and establishing boundaries and preferences and expectations of all parties involved before engaging in a BDSM scene or activity is an essential part of practicing BDSM safely and consensually. During the negotiation process, the participants typically discuss and establish their roles, who's a dominant submissive, their limits or boundaries, what activities are okay and what's not okay, the expectations, what type of scene is it going to be, the intensity of play. When we're talking about impact, okay, it's going to be an impact play. We're going to be using floggers and canes. I'm going to start slow and work your way and work you up. I want you to let me know when it gets too much, and then we'll say that that's your pain tolerance. That's a more advanced tactic, by the way, and we'll go into that a little later. But you're using someone saying yellow to determine where to stop. I prefer using for SSC, safe, sane, consensual, especially in the beginning. I prefer using pain scale numbers, but that's my opinion. Their expectations, yes. Any physical or mental health concerns or conditions that may help this affect the scene. This includes traumas, using the use of safe words and other form of communication, like waving your hands, like mentioned, silent communication. The plan for aftercare and debriefing after the scene. By openly discussing these aspects, all parties involved can establish trust and ensure that everyone is on the same page and minimize the risk of unintentional harm or misunderstandings. Effective BDSM negotiation involves open and honest communication, active listening, and a willingness to compromise and respect each other's boundaries and limits. I highly recommend watching our 2 videos on safety and vetting and negotiation for a full guide on this topic that you can find in the description or in the 101 materials channel. I released the negotiation video, which was supposed to go live tomorrow. I released it today so people can use that to go and check out to make sure that it's something that they can see about negotiation, because it's such a vital topic for this. Before starting any of this, mindset matters, okay? Getting a bottom into the right mindset for impact play is crucial to ensuring the safe and enjoyable experience for both partners. Here are some good practices that a top can use, okay? Communicate clearly before engaging in BDSM or impact play. The top should communicate with the bottom to establish limits, boundaries, and safe words, of course. This helps the bottom feel safe and understood. Use positive affirmations. Good girl, good boy, good kitten, that kind of thing, to help put the bottom in the right mindset for impact play. The top can offer words of encouragement, validation, and praise to build trust and confidence. Now, something I do that if I'm going from a medium to a high protocol situation, or if I'm going into impact play, what I'll do is I'll have the submissive kneel, and I'll say, you're a good girl or good boy or good kitten. I want you to know that I appreciate you, and this is done to express our trust and love with each other, etc. And then I'll put their play collar on if they have one, or I will put a tag on their collar, like signifying that we're going into session. And that's like a mental switch that helps people, okay, this is what's expected of me. This is what's going on right now. And it's very, very nice little 30-second ritual that I like to do. You can start with light play, which I highly recommend, starting with light play such as tickling, stroking, or spanking to help the bottom ease into the experience and get into the right headspace. You don't want to say, okay, you're in the headspace, go. It doesn't work that way. Humans are different. We're built differently. Using sensory deprivation. Sensory deprivation helps the bottom focus on the sensations of impact play. Blindfolds, earplugs, and headphones can help the bottom shut out distractions and focus on sensations of impact play. Example, I was at a dungeon once. I gave this example last week. Someone was cracking a bullwhip next to us, and so I put on headphones and they put in earplugs. So I was listening to music, they put in earplugs, so we were using the hands stoplight system in order to move forward, because I wanted to make sure that they weren't going to be out of that headspace, because if you're hit when you're not in the right headspace, it's freaking annoying. You're just like, hey, that's not fun. This is stupid. So yeah, using sensory deprivation can really help someone focus on the sensations and the mindset and getting into that wonderful little subspace that people go for, as well as experience the power exchange between the dominant and submissive. Number 5, using relaxation techniques. The top can use relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, meditation, or massage to help the bottom relax and get into the right mindset for impact play. So like, just like you're like, I'm not just going to have sex right away. I want to lead up to it with some foreplay. There's your foreplay, stroking and massage and getting someone into the right headspace. Okay, now I'm just going to, or some light spank. And then you can also, number 6, build anticipation. Building anticipation can help a bottom get into the right mindset for impact play. The top can tease the bottom with anticipation of the impact play, building up with the excitement and tension.